How's it going? Bizarro here with test subjects, and I have a question for you. When is a button not a button? When it's a jar. We're building a puzzle for an evil wizard's lair, and we thought, wouldn't it be cool if the potions were the buttons themselves for the spell that you're trying to create? And so I'm going to show you how we turn these into custom buttons, and how you can turn pretty much anything else into buttons using a very simple technique. So let's take a look. All right, so the first thing I did was I made a foam board mock-up of kind of what I wanted to test the size and stuff, and once I got rid of that, I just jotted down the sizes and things like that. So this is basically what we're building here, and I've already actually cut some of the wood pieces here. These are the bases that the jars are going to go on here, and this is the main base here, and this is really thick because it's got to have enough room for the post that I plan on putting in here to come out. So as you can see here, I have drilled some holes here that are just deep enough here to insert some pegs, and I'm going to use my handy dandy little tiny baby chop saw to do that right now. And here's what I made, these little posts here. These are just little dowel rods, and they're the same circumference as this. And all I have to do is glue them into place, and I will essentially make little tiny tables. All right, so I have glued in the tabs here, so these are all like they should be, as you can see. And I even took the liberty of taking my base piece of wood here, drilling the holes that these will slide down into like this, like that. And as you'll notice, the piece of wood here is the same, almost same length as these pegs, and there's a reason for that. I have this bottle that is from a cool website, which I'll put up here on that. You should check out their stuff. And this has Incapso K, which is a smooth-on product this one is a little darker than the ones we'll end up using. This was a test one. This was purple. It looks like blood, but it's actually purple. But the light will shine through them. But I tested earlier the height of what this on this will be with the weight with these springs. All right, so here's what happens. You put these springs over the holes like this. Get them all kind of lined up like that. And you put your thing like this. So now you have some resistance. But then when you put this on here, this gives you the actual height of the thing. So I had to get a piece of wood that was 5/8 to line this up, so it's as close to being flat-ish, as possible. I wanted it to look relatively flush, as close as I could. So now, but then this will end up being a button you're pushed down on, and we'll see more about that later. So, as of right now, I'm just gonna finish off getting the rest of this made and finished, putting some crossbar pieces here, and then we will keep going. So as you can see, we have the crossbars installed here, and now it's really about making these areas buttons, contacts, using some copper plating and stuff, and we'll walk through that here in a second. And you can also see I have drilled some channels for the wires to run through. Nobody will ever see this because these will be covered by the platforms. So this is the base of everything here, and then this is really the hardest part, is getting all this stuff done here. Once that's done, it's just basically building support structures over the bottles and stuff like that. So let's put some copper in this thing. So as you can see here, these are our trigger plates here. The big ones will go down inside of the frame there, and then these little ones will go on the platforms. And as you push down on the bottles, these will make contact, and this is just a very, very simple switch. And this is how we're going to trigger everything. So we're gonna put those in a little bit later, but first I'm going to finish building out the frame on this, and then we're going to stain it and weather it a bit, and then wire everything up. A little progress check here to make sure everything lined up okay. Here's something that we made sure to do is to make this come off. This is going to screw in from the side here. That way, in case we ever need to access any of the mechanics down here for the switches or anything, or the wiring or anything like that, then we'll be able to do that. If we were to make this all one permanent thing, then of course, that would have been a problem. But as I said before, the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to weather it up a bit, beat it up, make it look like it has been abused and used, and then we're going to stain it with this smoke gray. And since this is supposed to be in an evil villain's castle, we thought this is the most evil of wood stains. So I got this thing all stained up and everything like that, and now that means I can mount the base plates and the springs and stuff like that. As you can see, I've already mounted one of the plates here and one of the strips here, and I've bent it a little bit to make sure it makes contact right there. And of course, I've run the wires at the back, so we're actually going to test this to see if it will work when it makes contact on this LED here. So I'm going to mount this with the springs in place like that. Yep, all right. Put the bottle on top of it. Yep, perfect. Now I'm going to turn this on. Light doesn't come on, which is good. That means it's not randomly making contact, but when I push down, lights up. So this one's good, and now I'm going to do the same thing to the other two and make sure these all are working as well. And then the final thing is to mount LED strips in these channels that I've cut into the back pillars here. As you can see, those will have an LED strip that illuminates these from behind. So these have all been tested, everything works, no problem. And some of you may be wondering why these wires are twisted the way they are. Now normally, this is called a twisted pair, and it's to cut down on electromagnetic interference. But I also find that when you just have two wires like this, you have a bunch of wires coming out of a prop like this, it's good to just twist them together so you can kind of keep them organized and tell what's what instead of just wires going everywhere. So that's the reason for this. So everything is put together now at this point. The only thing really left to do is glue the bottles to the platforms here. That way there's no wiggle room, because if otherwise people might be able to kind of like pull them and they slide and stuff like that. So we're going to E6000 these bad boys to the platform, and then this one will be done. And that means I have to make a second one. The nice thing about making one of these is it's very easy to make a second one once you know how the first one is done. Some people like to build everything all at once, and the problem is if something's off or something like that. So usually if we're building a duplicate of a one-off, I want to build this one first and get it all kind of figured out, and then the second one will just go a lot quicker. So I'll show you, wire these up here in a little bit and kind of show you what we're doing with them. This is going to act as a kind of Simon Says type puzzle with sound effects and stuff. So sound effects will play, and I'll have to figure out which order to push buttons on like that. All right, so I'll just kind of show you how this thing kind of works here. I hit the reset button, and now it's going to play a sequence. It's going to light up, and as you can see, that was red, yellow, green, like that. And now what's going to happen is every time it does a round, it's going to increase. You can see that was yellow, blue, red, green, and so forth, and it'll go through, and this will probably actually be using sound effects and stuff as well, and it'll be separated, they'll be separated apart from each other, so different people will have to do it and run around and be more physical. But this is my little benchtop test, as you can see here, and that is our skull bottle Simon Says buttons craziness. So now that you know how to make almost anything into custom buttons, get crazy with it. Go wild. Grab your neighbor's cat. Turn it into a button. Whatever you need to do. And in case you do make something cool with it, let us know. Over here at testsubjects.com. Send us a message. Find us on Facebook. All those other things. And of course, if you subscribe to our channel, you get to see all sorts of cool other videos like these things we've made here. We teach, we build, we do all sorts of wacky fun things. So check it out, and we'll see you next time.